Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I am talking about Retail by Renee Miller. And this is from Unnerving Press, the fine folks that publish the Rewind or Die series. And in this book, which is in first person, our narrator is the manager or co-manager of seems like a Walmart type of store. It's up in Canada. I don't know if they ever actually name the store or give it a name. And, this particular manager or co-manager has had enough of dealing with horrible, horrible customers. And as it says on the back, once you get past the sticky issue of morality, revenge is easy. There are a few simple rules in retail. 1, the customer is always right, even when they're wrong. 2, insults, threats, harassment, and physical violence are accepted. Hell, those things are expected. And 3, smile. No matter what happens, you need to get paid. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's it in a nutshell. This book feels like a love letter to anybody who's worked in retail or customer service, had to deal with people. I worked at Walmart for a year. The least favorite job I've ever had. I was a picture framer, which I loved doing the picture framing. Didn't love working with the customers. So I had some great customers, but there were some really horrible, horrible customers. And I was a telemarketer. I hate to say there were horrible people there because, frankly, I was a telemarketer, so I deserved almost anything that was thrown my way. But this, as someone who has worked in this sort of job, again, Walmart, I absolutely love the sort of the fantasy of what happens to these shitty customers. So, as I said, this is written in first person. We get the narrator is setting things up, building things. This is what it's like to work in retail. These are the kinds of things we have to put up with. This is the moment when she decided to stop putting up with it, and then this is what happened after that. And I like that. I have to check something. So we start with no chapter title. It's a little bit of a prologue. There are no chapter numbers. But each chapter, for the most part, is a person, the nickname that the narrator has given the person. So we have the member is the first chapter, we'll see. And then Mama's Boy. And then, see, I'm flipping through. Can you hear the pages? I don't know if the microphone picks up. The Creeper. So, and so on and so on. So once the sort of introduction is out of the way, as I said, each chapter focuses on a member, so we sort of get their story from the narrator's perspective. What causes the narrator to do what she ends up doing? And then there's a point a little later in the book, I think it's a little more than halfway, where COVID hits. So we get a chapter that's more about COVID and what's going on because of that, before we get back to the each customer chapter. And it's a I believe you'd call it a satire. There's some funny stuff. There's, like I said, some serious wish fulfillment stuff. I like the writing style. It's very straightforward. It's very clear. The narrator's voice works. And I was actually reminded this. I don't think this is spoilery, especially since I'm going to be so vague, but I was reminded of the television show You, and Joe being the main character of that series, his voiceovers is what came to mind occasionally while I was reading this book. I know that's very vague, and if you want to know more about why I thought of You, you can ask me in the comments below. We'll post spoiler warnings and we can talk about it. But I very much There's just something about the narrator and the things she says as she's telling her story that I felt was very reminiscent of Joe in You. Um, I also like the tagline on here. When picking victims, the customer is always ripe. Yeah, so I think for the average reader, this is going to be a fun horror novel. Again, well written, interesting characters. The customers, I don't know why I'm air quoting customers, they're customers, are pretty fleshed out, and um, which is nice. And obviously, we're going to understand why the narrator does what she does. So I think, again, if you've never worked in retail, if you're just looking for a nice, fun horror novel, serial killer narrator kind of thing, this is a great book to pick up. If you have worked in retail, it just gives it that extra oomph, for lack of a better way to put it. And again, as someone who has worked in this sort of job, it's, we've had those customers where they're screaming and you're imagining grabbing your price gun and smacking them upside the head. Of course, we're not going to do it, but this character does, and it's fun to sort of live vicariously through a fictional character. I'm not saying she's right. I'm not saying she's wrong. That's one of the great things about fiction. We can live vicariously. We can sort of enjoy the fantasy of the thing we'd never do. It's absolutely the wrong. You're not going to do it. It's wrong, but it's a nice fantasy. Right? You know what? I don't know if you agree with me or not. I'm sticking with it. It's so I don't know what else to say. There you have it. It's Retail by Renee Miller. I highly recommend it. Unnerving has been pretty darn good. I think pretty much everything I've read from them so far has been really enjoyable. So whoever's running that press, whoever's picking what they're going to publish, is doing a good job. And I know I have some Renee Miller books in the Rewind or Die. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at one right now. The most recent one I got is from the same author. And I'm happy about that. I definitely want to read more Renee Miller stuff. Even if it's not Rewind or Die or Unnerving, I'm going to pick up more Renee Miller, an author that you should be reading. That's it. I don't know what else to say. That's Retail, Renee Miller. Highly, highly recommended. Highly, highly entertaining. So there you go. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. You know all the YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is at Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is EricSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.